Right, so we'll carry on immediately. We're staying with automation, and in this case, it is a very interesting subject from my point of view. Imagine market transparency could be reached when it comes to procuring drawing parts. And we are going to hear from Facturee, an online manufacturer. It's going to show us how digital processes can be used to reduce costs and making supply chains more resilient. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the founder and CEO here, Moritz König.
Ja, hallo allerseits. Bis meine
Hello,
Folien
everyone.
da sind, kann ich Sie erstmal begrüßen.
I'll just take a moment to say hello. Thank you very much for being here in this very difficult time between breakfast and lunch, because the energy level is usually quite low and you're looking forward to the second coffee, or you save it up until after lunch. So thank you very much for having come and wanting to listen to this presentation. I appreciate that. So Moritz König is my name. I am the founder of Facturee, and just one correction, what we do is delivering drawing parts. And this is actually the subject of my presentation today. So, if you manufacture drawing parts, if you procure drawing parts, if you are in the manufacturing industry, then you will find information that's very valuable to you. Firstly, reducing costs, and we guarantee 20% cost savings, and then you can make your supply chains more resilient. I think when it comes to drawing parts, I don't need to say a lot, but I want to say just a few. When it comes to drawing parts, they are so specific and so specific when it comes to procuring them, because it's very specific parts. On the basis of technical drawings, these parts are manufactured that are only intended for one particular purpose. So every part is like an experiment. And we see it time and again on the market, and I'm going to get back to that later. It has cascading efforts. You can't get them via Amazon, these drawing parts. You can't have lists for comparisons when, in this case, and even if you've optimized a part and you've got a good journey, good delivery times and everything else, then the engineer may change a minute little thing. The materials change, the surface is changed, another borehole is changed, or a tolerance is changed, and then at the end of the day, you have totally different parameters in this drawing part, and the price may explode, the qualities may not be guaranteed anymore, and that's the reality of drawing parts. So what happens? I've said enough about drawing parts. So what do we do? If we have a drawing such as this one and upload it into our system, then we have a point cloud that looks like this. And just to explain, on the y-axis you've got the price, and on the x-axis you've got a statistical parameter that's less relevant. But what is relevant is that every individual point is one supplier of drawing parts for this particular part. So we can predict prices, among many other things, apart from delivery times and quality. As the parameter, price is so important, we'll look at the price first of all. And what you see straight away is that the point cloud is very scattered. At the bottom you've got 0, at the top you've got 60, so you would pay 60 euros right at the top, and over the entire course of the development, so to say, you've got different suppliers. And just one reason, I said before that every part is an experiment, and the suppliers, when it comes to requests, get the task of solving the experiment before they've received it even. They have to answer the questions: will the tools break? What about the right material? Can you procure the right material? Are these semi-finished goods available? Do you have enough staff to manufacture this? And then there are some assessments, such as, will you be able to make money with this particular part? Because the question, will the customer buy this part, or will he or she complain about a certain scratch and everything has to be done from scratch, and is the entire calculation, the price calculation, not valid anymore? So this is what we see every single day. It's not a construed example. Between 5 and 60, there's a classical spread. The factor of 10 is relevant for price differences. This is really a reality. It's what we see every single day. Oh, just briefly to go back a step. So if you're on the market and you address somebody here, then you would probably end up with an average costing, let's say 30 euros per item. If you go one step further and the should costing will provide you with some answers. For instance, it will calculate material costs, man hours, and ensure that you're in a bit of a better sector, so to speak, but you still don't know what stuff is behind it. And so even if you have the should costing and you know that you should end up with 20 euros, it won't be that way because the actual prices will be probably below that. So short summary, drawing parts are very specific. Every part is an experiment. And even if you've done this experiment before, a minute little change of framework conditions, specifications can have massive implications for the parameters that you get, prices, delivery times, and quality. What else is there? There are so many prices out there. There is not a real price for parts. There are just as many prices as there are suppliers. There are no real prices out there. And the last point, and that's the most painful one, the prices are different by the factor of 10. So if you're a purchaser, you probably think that somebody is trying to make things difficult for you because the prices vary so much. But the reality is everybody's trying to solve this experiment in the best way, and they just end up with very, very different results. So what can you do to change that? So I haven't told you how to solve this yet, but what you can do is to ask everyone. Okay, that's not such a good idea because there are about 100,000 suppliers for drawing parts. So don't nail me down on that figure, but that's about the order of magnitude. There are lots of them. So even if you had the time and the energy to ask each and every one of them, you wouldn't get answers from all of them, and you wouldn't be able to assess at the end of the day whether the orders that you received really had substance behind them, because the promises that you would get would probably not be kept in some cases. So for each and every 100,000 suppliers, you'd have to spend a bit of money, you'd have to try things out, wait a bit, see whether they actually keep their promises and keep the prices that they told you. We as a company come from Berlin. We've got the airport here, and that was offered at a price that was much lower than the one that it actually cost at the end of the day. This Berlin effect is something that some suppliers have sort of emulated for themselves. So I'm here to tell you there is a better way than asking 100,000 suppliers. I know that this is a better way because we have been embarked on this for 8 years now, and it led to a situation where we could actually reach market transparency. And this path begins with suppliers. If you have a field of 100,000 suppliers, then this can be reduced to about 2,000, as we found out. This is quite a sensible figure. The reason being that when it comes to 2,000 suppliers, you can bring about a sort of clustering, and you can get one from every category and ensure that every parts category will be found somewhere in the best pricing. The next thing is to compile data. As I said before, you really need data to tell you whether supplier is reliable in terms of quality, in terms of prices, promises, whether he or she will keep the promise. And these data go beyond everything that would be asked in a form, so you don't only need the machines and the sales and certificates of the company, but you need real data, how the supplier acts in the field while doing real live orders. We found out you need about 600,000 data points in order to have real accessible data and information. So you've got the data, you've got the suppliers, but of course you've got a lot of data, you've got a lot of suppliers still, so you need a system to handle this. 8 years ago, when we founded the company, Facturee, we wondered whether there was a system out there that we could adapt to our purposes. The answer was a clear no. After 6 months of research, we stopped doing that and decided we will build our own software, our own ERP system, which is only there to purchase drawing parts low cost and at high quality. We needed 150,000 programming hours, not until now, but until the system started working well and drawing parts could be procured at a good level. And the previous speaker has already alluded to this when it comes to artificial intelligence, both here and all over the world. There's a lot of magic, but not so many witches, and we've got a lot of noise, but our system provides suggestions, but at the end of the day, there's always one expert. And because we want to cover all the manufacturing processes of the world, sheet metal, CNC, 3D printing, we need experts for each and every manufacturing process. That's about 60. And we've got experts in-house to check that the output of the software that we have is actually correct. If you bring all this together, you've got suppliers, you've got the data volumes, you've got the IT system, and you've got the experts that are working with this, then you can be sure that when it comes to drawing parts, can be provided in the area of best costing. So I dare stand here before you and say that drawing parts portfolio can be provided at 20% cost savings. Right, so when it comes to cost savings, just a bit of additional info. Recap, how does it work? So we get a specification of a drawing part, which may look like this. We'll just stick with this particular part. It goes into our system, and the system calculates for every supplier that's in our system, it calculates a price. And this doesn't only happen for the price, but it also is calculated for the delivery time and quality. And our internal expert can take his or her pick on the basis of prices or on the basis of a different parameter, limitations for global sourcing, for instance, or whatever. He may take another decision not based on price. Many geopolitical risks are out there, so the expert may not choose the most cost-efficient one, because I not only told you that cost savings was something that we provide, but also resilience. Maybe you can see already that in this system you have an intrinsic resilience, because automatically for every query we have several suppliers that we can qualify. So we have different options. If you look at globally political resilience, then one of the suppliers may be in the Middle East, where there's a typhoon coming up, or another supplier may be in Eastern Europe or in Turkey or in Western Europe, and maybe you've got another one in Mexico. And then you can be rather sure, as long as the world can provide products, you can procure your products. So this is the kind of resilience that can be designed for natural disasters, geopolitical events, and so on. This is all included in the system.
obwohl wir schon 8 Jahre am Markt
although
sind
we've been on the market for 8 years,
einer der größten Zeichnungsteile-Lieferanten im
we
deutschsprachigen
are one
Raum
of the
sind,
biggest suppliers for
haben die
drawing
wenigsten
parts.
von uns gehört. Und zwar
Probably not many
deswegen,
have heard
weil wir
of
praktisch
us
7 Jahre nur unser
because
Produkt entwickelt haben und
we took
nichts anderes
7
gemacht.
years
Auch
to
deswegen
develop
ist
our
meine
product.
Präsentation nicht so schön wie die
And
die ich
this is also why the
neidvoll zugeben
presentation
muss.
is probably
Nicht
not
so schön
as
wie die von meinem
nice
Vorredner.
as the one of
Worin
the
wir
previous
investiert haben, ist
speaker,
Produkt,
because we
Produkt,
invested
Produkt,
into the
Software,
product, and again the product,
im
softwares and
Dafür,
engineers
da waren wir
basically.
sehr stolz drauf.
And we were
2023
very
war für uns,
proud
ein Turning Point.
that in
Da sind wir
2023 we had
sehr
this
stark
turning
gewachsen
point.
und
We had
haben im Anschluss den Industrie
massive
4
growth,
Award 2023 in
and
2024
we got
gewonnen.
an award
Das war für
in
uns
2023,
eine große Nummer, denn wir standen
which
auf einmal
was
auf der
really
Bühne
something
mit,
for us. We were on
CATL,
stage with
größter Batteriehersteller der
CATL,
Welt,
biggest
und
battery
BMW
manufacturer of the
Motorrad.
world, and
Das hat uns
BMW
sehr geehrt und war eine
motorbike,
große
and
Bestätigung für
we
den Weg,
were
den wir
very
eingeschlagen haben.
honored, and we just sort of felt this was the
Was noch
reward
eine
for
größere
the
Bestätigung ist, sind unsere
development
mittlerweile
that
wirklich
we
sehr vielen
implemented.
Kunden.
We've got lots of
36.000 sind es
customers,
an der Zahl.
36,000 to be specific,
Wir haben hier mal einige aufgelistet,
and I've
deren
picked
Logos
out
Sie
just a
vielleicht
few.
kennen.
You're probably familiar with the
Noch viel
logos.
mehr arbeiten wir mit
We
dem
also
Mittelstand
work
zusammen.
with small and
Da können
medium-sized
wir tatsächlich
enterprises.
massive Einsparungen generieren.
Massive savings
Und,
can
haben
be
deswegen auch,
generated for
große
them,
Kooperationen.
which is why
Trotzdem
we
nehmen wir
have
natürlich
lots
die
of
größten Unternehmen hier auf
cooperations.
die,
But of course, I picked out the
auf die
biggest
Folie.
companies, so
Ja, wenn Sie
you
eine
have
Sache
a
mitnehmen
image of who we have
aus
as
meinem
our
Vortrag,
customers. So
dann, dass
if
Sie
there's
eigentlich
one
eine Wahl
thing
haben.
that you can take
Sie
home with
können
you
entweder
is the
entscheiden, dass Sie
info that
dieses
you
System
have the
hier selber
choice.
bauen
You can
wollen.
either
Wenn
build
Sie
the
das
system
vorhaben,
yourself.
dann sprechen
If
Sie
you
mit
want to
mir.
do this, then
Wir
you're
haben's gemacht, wir
welcome
sind durch
to
die ganzen
address me.
Schmerzen
I mean, this is
durchgegangen.
what we
Da
did.
kann
We
ich Ihnen
went
gerne
through
einen Tipp
all the
hier oder da
painful
geben, oder wir
processes,
vielleicht
and
wird auch eine
I'm sure that I
Kooperation
can
draus. Wenn Sie das
provide
nicht
you
vorhaben und Sie wollen
some
diese Investition nicht machen und wollen
with
keine 7
some
Jahre warten,
advice. If
dann
you
schlage
say
ich
you
vor,
don't want to
sprechen
do
Sie
it
mit uns.
yourself, you don't want to
Wenn Sie
wait
an
for 7 years.
Zeichnungsteile denken, wenn Sie
If you
Zeichnungsteile
want
beschaffen
drawing
wollen,
parts
dann
procured,
fragen Sie
then
uns. Wir bieten
please
alle
ask us.
Fertigungsverfahren an.
We provide all the
Wir
manufacturing
bieten
processes, as
alle
I said before,
Oberflächenbehandlungen
all
an.
surface,
Wir bieten alle Materialien
all
an.
surfaces,
Das
all
letzte Mal, als ich geguckt
materials.
habe,
The
waren es
last
über
time I
900
checked, there were
bei uns im System.
over 900 materials in our system,
Und wir arbeiten
and we
in
also
allen Projektgrößen.
work in all
heißt, wir
project sizes,
beginnen im
which means
Prototyping,
that we start with the
bleiben
prototyping,
gerne, auch dauerhaft in kleinen
and
Stückzahlen zusammen mit Ihnen,
we
wenn das,
can continue with
wenn
small
das Ihr
batch
Business Case
sizes
ist.
if this is your business
Wir gehen aber
case,
auch
if
über
that's what you
Vorserien
want, but
bis
we
hin
also
in
work in
Serien.
pre-series or
Wir
series
sind im
production.
Automotive-Bereich und im
We are
Aerospace-Bereich
in
aktiv,
the automotive
sind
and
da
the
in
aerospace
deutschen Serienfahrzeugen
sector,
drin und in
and
europäischen
we're
Serien.
involved in European airlines and
Wir bieten,
German
weil der Vorredner es gesagt
automobiles,
hat,
and the
PPAB,
previous speakers,
Prüfberichte an.
PPAB,
Wir
test
machen alles,
checks is what
was
we
Sie denken, was
provide,
ein
and
guter
we do
Zeichnungsteillieferant
everything that a
machen
good
machen wir
drawing
möglich.
parts supplier
Jetzt sehe
should
ich,
be
ich bin
able to
sehr
do.
schnell
Now,
durch
I've
meine
been
Präsentation
very
durchgekommen.
fast,
Daher freue ich mich jetzt
as
schon
I
auf Ihre Fragen.
just see,
Ansonsten,
looking at the time. I'm looking
wir
forward to
sind
your
auch in Halle
questions,
6
and
und
if
auch
you'd
am
like to
Stand
see
F18
our
in Richtung Siemens Stand, weil der
booth,
Stand
it's
F18
Hall
tatsächlich sehr
6,
groß ist. Ich habe selber gesucht.
stand
Wir sind hier ein Team
F18, booth
von,
F18.
10
We're a
Leuten,
team
die
of
nach und
10
nach
people,
anreisen. Hier sehen Sie
and you
die 4
see
Personen
the
ohne
4
William, der da
people
hinten steht,
without William, who's at the back
die heute hier
waving.
sind.
Who are
Die
here
Kollegen sind
today.
generell da hinten,
The
oder auch
colleagues
da drüben,
are
wenn Sie Fragen
over there
haben.
or over there if you have any questions directly.
für Ihre
And
Aufmerksamkeit.
thank you very much for your attention.
Großer Applaus. Ganz lieben Dank für die Präsentation.
Thank you very much for
tatsächlich
this
ein, zwei Fragen,
presentation.
das machen
I
wir gleich
do
noch.
have one or
Die
two
erste
questions.
Frage, die
The
vielleicht ein
first
Einkäufer
question
stellen würde,
that
weiß ich nicht.
a
Jetzt,
purchaser
gehe ich,
would
über
ask,
Facturee und sage, ich brauche
I don't
dieses
know, but
Zeichnungsteil.
going via Factory and
Möglicherweise
saying I
braucht der
need this
Einkäufer ja
particular
3
drawing part,
Angebote und nicht
maybe
eins,
the
oder?
purchaser needs
Da
three
gibt's unterschiedliche
three
Anforderungen.
offers and not
Ja, aber
just
ist-
one.
wäre das
There are
so, dass
different
man auch anfragen
requirements,
könnte
yes,
und sagen,
but
ich brauche 3
could you also say, well,
Angebote, aus
I
denen er
need
auswählt,
3
oder ist durch die
comparable
Garantie, das kann der
offers,
Einkäufer ja nicht machen,
or
braucht er trotzdem dann,
yeah, would you also be
oder?
able to do that because they need
grundsätzlich, was unser
comparisons?
Anspruch ist,
Answer, well,
je Spezifikation das beste
our
Angebot zu
claim
geben.
is
Das
to
heißt,
give
ein Einkäufer
the
kann
best
gerne auf uns zukommen und sagen,
offer for
machen Sie
every
mir das beste
specification.
Angebot, was
So
in
a
Europa möglich ist.
purchaser could
Dann
say,
machen wir das.
make the
Geben
best
Sie mir das
offer
beste
that's possible
Angebot
in
weltweit.
Europe,
Geben Sie mir
or
das
make the
beste
best
Angebot,
offer worldwide,
nur aus
or
Slowenien.
make the best
Dann machen wir
offer
das.
just from
Okay, sehr gut.
Slovenia. So we
Dann
can do
muss
all
natürlich die
that.
Frage erlaubt sein, wie verdient ihr
Okay,
denn
so the question is, how do you
verdienen
make
unser
money?
Geld,
Answer,
wir
well,
kaufen das
we
ein auf
make
der
our
einen
money
Seite
by
und verkaufen es auf der
purchasing
anderen
it and
Seite.
selling unveiling it. So whoever cooperates with us pays our margin, And because we are good enough, we provide added value for everyone. Okay, so you have a top-up for the savings, so to speak, or for the purchase part. You're a seller of the purchase parts, of the drawing parts. Yes, exactly. There's no entry fee. We're not a software supplier. You don't have to make any long-term contracts if you don't want to. Yeah, that's a good thing, that no matter whether you want a prototype, pre-series or whatever, it doesn't play a part. And how long does all this take? You've got different technologies, different drawing parts, but the process should be accelerated too, as you said, doesn't it? Answer, well, let's start with the offer. We'll provide our offer on the very next day. You can send us an email or call us up or send us a fax. This also happens from time to time. And once we've received your data, within the course of one day, you will have the offer. It may take a bit longer, depending on our manpower. And then from accepting the offer to delivery, it's about 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks that we need. Let's look at the questions, because this refers to the quality topic. That would have been my next question. How do you ensure quality? Because you have to procure the drawing part, you are the seller. How do you ensure that the quality is as it should be? We saw the price comparisons. I think that was really sensational, and I think this is this is actually the case from €9 to X. So let's say we've chosen the most cost-efficient one, and somebody says the part wasn't any good. Answer, yes, that's actually our problem, because you enter into a contract with us. We ensure that everything is as it should be, so we provide our network to keep our promise. And because we're in the loop, there is an additional quality assurance, sticking with product quality for a while, because the supplier will do a quality check for outgoing goods, but it goes through our logistics too. We have another quality control, so if we've seen in the data that one supplier has difficulties with transparent analysis, then we look at all these parts and control them once again without you noticing, or if a supplier is kicked out because the quality is not enough, then you won't notice that at all. We're a kind of sort of protective layer around everything. We are ISO 1001 certified, so we really take things seriously. There's another question here. Okay, it's a bit of a global question. What role does AI play for you? This would be quite interesting. We had Serpo with the quality testing that they do on the basis of AI. Facturee could use this too, couldn't it? You've got the drawing parts. Yes, I'll go to the booth of Facturee. I thought that was really an interesting presentation, and we already use the software for quality assurance, as I said before, data-driven quality assurance to read and look at the drawings, because everybody who's used this knows that the devil is in the detail, and somewhere it may say, well, this has got to be mirrored, or it says, contrary to the drawing, you've got a 3mm bore, and this is where artificial intelligence helps to really structure the data properly so that our engineers can look at it and work with it. The USP question has been asked, and to be honest, I'm not that familiar with dealing with a supplier such as you. If you compare this to other online manufacturers, then what will you say? Why come to you? Answer, well, of course, I think that we have a lot of stuff going for us. We took some decisions when it came to building our own systems, so talked about the software a lot. We are really unique when it comes to that software. We're as efficient as nobody else on the market. I'm really convinced of that. And apart from that, we took another decision against instant codes, against showing prices instantly on our website. And we did this intentionally because we are absolutely convinced that because of the point cloud that I showed you before, if you just sort of chuck out a price, then you've got to have safety margins. They need to be so high that you're probably unattractive when it comes to prices. And because artificial intelligence hasn't progressed far enough, you need human beings to check everything. Human beings need a lot of time, and the added value that the customer will get is a better product, is making it possible for us to keep our promise. Okay, right. Thank you very much, Lutz König. A round of applause for you, and I wish you every success. Did you say where people can find you? Oh, yes, that's the startup booth. Hall 6F, I think, or... Hall 6 is right. Yes, Moritz König, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.